Hi, my name is Shane Rail. I'm with Skyline Insurance Group here in Everett, Washington. I'm your local friendly home and auto and life insurance representative, and I've got a small team here in South Everett that helps just over 2,000 families in Washington State, and just thrilled to be partnering with ServiceMaster to help dispel some insurance myths for you guys today. Yeah, it's a tricky one. So, anytime you have a claim, you do have a responsibility to jump on things right away as far as making sure that there's no further damage. So we want to get you definitely connected with folks like ServiceMaster right away to help start assessing how bad the problem is. But it's really important that you let your insurance agent know right away. Now, you don't necessarily have to file a claim right away. Let's be clear. What I'm suggesting is that you call the person that you work with right away to make sure that they know exactly the extent of the damage, the extent of the incidents, not necessarily the extent of the damages. They can provide you advice as to whether or not it makes financial sense to file that claim. Because once you file a claim, I always say this, once you call claims, that's like going to a knee surgeon. The knee surgeon is going to want to cut you open and do surgery. All right, claims is the same way. Claims is going to want to file that claim to see if there's coverage. Once the claim is filed, no matter if there's a payout or not, that claim is going to be on your record forever. So talk to your agent first. Don't necessarily call claims right away. Sometimes it's real obvious, sometimes it's not, but that's where your agent comes in to help you out. Mold is tricky. In Washington State, as you guys are aware, it's wet around here, so we get mold. And anytime there's a water loss, a leak in the roof, you are open to mold developing in the home. So this kind of goes with number one. It's important that we get on these things early. We start fixing any kind of water damage so that mold doesn't grow. So is mold covered? It depends. So if you had a slow leak under your sink for years and years and years and you've never seen it and there's mold, most of the time that's not covered by your insurance. Okay, but if you have had a significant loss, a tree strike, and water gets in and it takes a couple weeks for things to start moving to get things fixed and mold develops, then yes, there is some coverage for mold mitigation for those types of situations. So to answer the myth being, it's 100% of the time going to cover, it's probably not. It depends. And again, that's why you got to call your agent, talk about your policy, see what the coverage options are, what your deductibles are, and what some of those rules are. So that's a dangerous one to think that it's covered 100% of the time. It all depends. Well, that's probably actually somewhat true. Unfortunately, we don't want it to be that way. Look, my dad told me when I was growing up, you don't have to be the guy, you just got to be a guy who knows a guy, right? And so whether it's early in the process, you want your agent to be able to refer you to companies that they trust, that they would have come into their own home to do work. And then once the process gets started, what I've found is, having an open line of communication with our mitigation folks, like with ServiceMaster has been great. We have a chance to talk I can brief them on the client's history, like, hey, the client's got XYZ and they're got 3 kids in the home and this hit the bedroom, so really got to get out there and here's what they're concerned about. We can have that conversation up front so that when they get on scene, they kind of know you a little bit. There's a soft landing once they get on scene, and then afterwards, I almost always get a report back here in the agency that says, hey, we helped John and June Smith, and we helped get their water damage taken care of, and here's what it looked like, and here's, I've even seen photos of the mitigation work and whatnot. And then, the real important part is making sure that you get those services paid for by the insurance company. So making sure that the mitigation company and the adjusters are talking. That's where, again, the agent comes into play to help connect everybody. I kind of joke that I'm like the quarterback. I hand the ball off and then make sure that, the next play we call goes in the right direction. So, we do talk a lot more than people realize. But I would I always encourage people, use your agent to help smooth these conversations out, because sometimes the adjusters, and maybe they're in a hurry, or maybe someone on the mitigation team isn't a great communicator. Like, getting people together, that's the job. Communicate. Always communicate. The theme in all three of these was that you need to trust the people that you're working with. So I guess if I could leave you guys with anything, it's make sure you know when something goes wrong. Do you know who you're going to call? Do I know the person I'm going to call to come help me navigate this situation? Because your choices are work with somebody you know. I'm going to call Shane, Skyline Insurance Group. He and his team, they know me, they know my family, they know what's going on. I'm going to call Nicole at Service Master. I'm going to, I know them, right? They're going to come out and help me. Way better to work with your friends than it is to work with a bunch of strangers through a call center. So, that's my final advice. Is like, work with an agent you trust.